station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio, the show that helps you build the business you need for the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. Well, a lot of the people that we talk to, a lot of the experts on our show, we're talking to them about how to master your mindset and build your business so that you can create the life that you want. And today's speaker is really an expert at doing this in a big way. Her name is Aly Michaels. She is an author, a speaker, and an entrepreneur, and she's an expert at training the mind and building businesses. Aly is renowned for showing you how to use any challenge to propel you into becoming a champion. She is passionate about helping entrepreneurs live life on their terms, and so that's exactly what we're interested in here. She believes that with a plan, the right mindset, and consistency, you can achieve anything you want in life. Aly Michaels, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Hey, Ralph. Thank you for having me. How is everybody that's listening today?
I'm great, and I trust everybody else is as well, because we are looking forward to what you are going to be sharing with us. And you're joining us, actually. You're on a trip. You're in Mexico right now.
Correct. I'm in Playa del Carmen in Mexico. And I just want to give a big shout out to all your audience that I know has been following you for a long time. And hopefully some of the information that we will be giving them today will actually help them and empower them even further to be, do, and have all that it is that they want. And like I said, live life on their terms. Live life on their terms, build the business you need so you can live the life that you want. That's what you are all about. And that's why I thought you were such a great fit for having you on the show. So it's a real pleasure to have you. Before we get into the actual nuts and bolts of how do you do this, how did you get started as an author, a speaker, an entrepreneur, and an expert in helping people train their mind and build their businesses? Well, I have to actually take you back to when I was 8 years old. As an immigrant family, we were in Australia, and my parents had just gotten divorced. And I watched my mother work really, really, really hard. She was a machinist. She worked in a factory. She worked 16 to 18-hour days for $3.84 an hour. And on the weekends, so I hardly ever got to see her during the week. And on the weekends, she would drag me along at 5 o'clock in the morning to what was called Trash and Treasure Market, which is more like trash, Ralph, if you know what I'm saying, where everybody would fill up the boot of their car with crap. That's really what it was. And they would, resell that to make ends meet. Now, here's what I learned from that experience, and I did that for a few years with her, and this is in 110-degree heat in Australia, back when, skin safety and skin cancer wasn't promoted. I remember a specific day where I was watching my mother, sell these little garments to the customers, and, hot day, beads of sweat were pouring down her face. And she really looked, she looked uncomfortable. She looked in pain. She really looked sad. And I made a decision at that moment in time that there was no way that I was actually going to live my life in that same pattern, meaning there was no way I was going to have that lifestyle for myself. So as time went on, I educated myself with everything that I could, from business to personal development to mindset to all about health, to basically achieve what was that I wanted. And I wanted the freedom. So as time progressed after university, I actually lived in Italy for 10 years, but I always, I built businesses. I was very good, and I am still very good at part of what I do today is taking the businesses to $1 million in a really, really short period of time, and then selling them off or creating other systems to skyrocket and exponentially increase that through franchising and through other forms, depending obviously on the business type. But the most important thing really about everything that I did, I would have to say, has been the mindset that I have accumulated in order to help me achieve that. So help me do, be, and have everything that I want. But we will talk about that. I'm sure you'll be asking me about that in a little while.
Sure. It's really interesting. All the authors, experts, speakers, entrepreneurs, rebelpreneurs that I talk to, just about 100% of them say it all begins with your mindset. It all begins with your attitude, your belief system. And so training your mind and getting yourself to take action, to figure out what you want, to take the right action in the right way, that seems to be a critical component to success in business and in life. So tell us a little bit more about that. And who is it that you work with? Who do you help on a regular basis?
Okay. Well, first of all, with regards to mindset, it's kind of like a muscle. The more you are focused on what you want to attract, the more you are able to provide an environment where opportunities show up to get you to your outcome. So, what you focus on expands. Where focus goes, energy flows. If you are always in a positive...
That's catchy. I like that. Where focus goes, right, energy flows.
Right. So most people, unfortunately, and when I say most people, I'm talking, we can label them as entrepreneurs, or we can just label them as just, humanity, society. Most of us have been conditioned through our childhood of the things of our beliefs, like you were saying earlier, of what we need to, of what our beliefs should be, And unfortunately, by the time we reach 37 years old, 95% of our thoughts have already been preconditioned in the past, and they were not positive thoughts, which means that you're really experiencing the old pattern. Now, what that means is this, that most of society tend to be on the negative side than on the positive side, mindset-wise. Now, what this means in terms of results is that 97% of the population is doomed to fail. And what I mean by that, in terms of goals, in terms of money, in terms of reaching their objectives, the world, if you look at the world economy, for example, 3% of the world economy runs 97% or has 97% of the world's wealth. And again, that's also because of their mindset. And unfortunately, we as a society, we are used to be conditioned by society in a negative way. So you turn on your TV, for example, and all you see is doom and gloom. You read the paper and or social media these days, and most what attracts you to is doom and gloom. Studies have shown, and I've actually tested it myself, if I was to put out something on social media that has a really depressing headline, more people would watch that than if I'm actually celebrating something.
Isn't that's a sad commentary on society, but what you're saying is absolutely correct. Anything that you insert with anger or emotion or sadness, it tends to get all of this response from people. We seem to be sucked into that like a magnet, as opposed to something that's positive and encouraging. You can get twice as many clicks by being negative.
Absolutely. And here's another thing about mindset that most people, again, kind of like it's there, but it's not there. The thing about the mindset is really, the first thing that you need to do is you really need to be clear on exactly what it is that you want to achieve. And most people, just at that first step, are not. Most people are not clear as to the outcome they want to produce or what their goal is. And that, my friends, literally takes 90% of the whole rest of the process. It cannot go on unless you're absolutely crystal clear on what it is that you want to achieve. They also, when they, planning, there's a difference between planning and execution. You can be a fantastic planner, but if you don't execute, you will never get to your goal. And that's the same in business. What is the reason why you started your business? What is your why? What's your BHAG, your big, hairy, audacious goal for your business? If you are in business to make money, it's never going to work. You may make money, but it will never be sustainable because you need something more, other bigger than yourself, to drive you to produce, to contribute to humanity.
I think you've been reading my private journals. I think you've been reading my diary because I just came to that conclusion. Well, it's something I knew, but I never articulated it very clearly until recently, that you've got to have a cause bigger than yourself. And if the only purpose for being in business is to make a lot of money, here's what happens. And I see this. I discovered this in my work with consulting and coaching clients, that when I helped them get to a certain level of success and they made some money, then they wanted to stop coaching, or they wanted to go on a long vacation and I wouldn't hear from them for 6 months. And then I'd hear from them again and they're like, oh, I need more coaching because I'm really having cash flow issues right now. So I stopped working with people like that because it became clear to me that their only goal was to make money. And they didn't have a purpose that was going to help them be consistent in the pursuit of a purpose bigger than themselves. It was only chasing after dollars and cents. And so what you're saying is that's not enough of a reason to be in business. That's not going to sustain you through all of those difficult times when things are hard, right? Am I hearing you correctly?
Absolutely. Right, absolutely not. And Ralph, look, I'll be completely honest and tell you that in my early years, I thought that was the way to go. I thought it was all about the money. I thought the more money I made, the greatest I would feel, the more choices I would have, the more freedom I would have. And that's true. Money does give you more freedom. Money does give you more choices. But money is really, it's just an energy exchange. It's just a currency based on the value that we provide to the world and to society. And even though at the very beginning, I started off in real estate and I built several businesses, both in Italy as well as in Australia. And I actually finished by selling my business because I also wrote a book on Airbnb for property investors, how I made 6 figures in 6 months. Which actually is an international bestseller, and I've written other books since then. But the point was that when I had the money, I remember sitting on my balcony overlooking the water, and I thought I had made it, and everything was, I felt really successful inside. You know what I mean? Like I felt like on top of the world. I felt on top of the mountain peak. And as I was like looking across the water, the deepest sadness, I was overcome by this overwhelm of deepest sadness because it was like, okay, now what? It just didn't fulfill me. Tony Robbins is one of my mentors. I collaborate with him as well, and he always talks about the difference between the science of achievement, which most entrepreneurs or rebelpreneurs would definitely be high achievers. So most of your audience will be high achievers. Obviously, they want to create, they want to build, they want to impact the world, but very, very few of them would reach the science of achievement as well as the art of fulfillment. And we can only really have the art of fulfillment when it's not anymore about us, when it's about contribution, when it's about growth, when it's about adding value to the world without expecting anything in return, meaning you give value first before you think of asking anything back.
Really, really good strategy. And that's a great strategy for life as well as for business. And it immediately sets you apart because most people are takers. They're not givers. They want to get from you and they want to take, but they're not willing to give value. And so they come across with a very different energy with someone who is looking to take or someone who is looking to sell you something as opposed to building relationships and giving value. I want to go back to something that you said a little earlier as we begin to talk about the big problem. And one of the things we've identified in our conversation is that mindset is such a huge factor. And one of the variables there in mindset you identified as a problem of not being clear, not getting crystal clear about what you want. So I've got two questions for you. I want to know, why is that such a problem for people? And then I want to know, how do we overcome that and get clear about what we want?
Sure, absolutely. People are not clear because they're not focused on the end result. They're focused on the now. They don't think long term and long picture. They think, what will satisfy my needs right now? Okay, I want to start a business. Okay, I want to sell a product, or I want to sell a service. But they're not thinking long term. They're not thinking, what problem am I actually solving in society? That's really why you should get in business. You get in business, if you want a successful business, you need to have a clear why, a clear outcome, but you also have to provide a solution to the problem that you're actually trying to solve better than or cheaper than anybody else in that industry right now. So they're not clear in that long-term vision. They don't have their vision. Their vision is small, if they have that vision at all. So what actually happens, because they don't think long term and because they don't have the vision, perhaps they haven't written out their mission statement. Perhaps they haven't even written out their vision, let alone their goals. Which, by the way, about goals, it's not like you write your goals once a year and then you review at the end of the year. Your goals should actually be written and rewritten as you grow and as you develop throughout the whole year. I actually do my goals twice. I do them. I write my 10 goals in the morning, and I write my 10 goals at night, and I actually review them every single day. So you
get clear. You know exactly what you want, and you're reviewing that sucker not once a year, but twice a day.
Right. Well, so do the math. I have 10 goals that I review 20 times a day times 365 days a year, right? So in terms of statistics, that comes to, I look at my goals 7,300 times in the year.
Wow. I mean, that right there is a huge distinction. Whereas, here's another thing that sets apart the 3% from the 97%. 97% are going to maybe make a few New Year's resolutions and forget all about them. And by the third week of the new year, they haven't achieved or done anything. And they're going to be in the same place next year as they were this year, or possibly worse. Contrast that with your approach, Aly, where you're looking at your goals over 7,000 times a year.
Exactly. And this is what happens, is that when I look at my goals, I don't see any of the distractions because I'm not focused on them. Whereas somebody else, what will happen is they will start to, do whatever it is, whether they, to do their product or to do their marketing or whatever. But then they see a shiny object coming by and it's like, oh, let's do that, or let's do this, or let's do that. And all of a sudden what actually happens is, through time, they don't give their business enough energy, or they actually quit. And that's, of course, another big problem. I mean, one in two businesses that start will fail. And out of the 50% that continue, 90% of them will not reach the 10-year mark. I mean, these are just hard statistics on it. It's not me making it up. These are statistics on businesses that start or have started. And again, the mindset is the most important thing. They need to be clear, to focus. They also need to implement. And here's the thing: you need to basically, think of Thomas Edison. He tried 10,000 times, but what did he say? He said, "I found 10,000 ways to not." Not get a working light bulb. He never said, I failed 10,000 times, even though failure is good as long as you treat it, as long as you have a positive mindset on that, to say, okay, well, what did I learn from this fail? What did I learn from this event? You can also use, you don't have to be afraid of failure. A lot of people are afraid of failure, and they also are afraid of success. But in terms of failing, the quicker you fail, the quicker, for me, my mindset is, the more I fail, the quicker I get to where I want to be. as long as you want to learn from it, as long as you not do the same things that caused you the failure in the first place.
Wow, this is some really powerful things that you're sharing here with us, and it sounds so simple the way you explain it, but it may be simple in theory, but people, they don't actually do the simple things that would help them get to where they want to be, even though anybody could. But I'm wondering if you would share with us maybe your 1, 2, 3 step process to try and help our listeners begin to get clear. What can they do when they recognize this, and what can they do right now to begin to move in the direction of better clarity?
I know, and you know, I am a talker, and I do come from a Italian background, and I hope it don't go over time. So please just hold me back if I go on too much, because I can talk about this for forever. I'm really, really passionate about this. But what they need to do to get clear is very, very simple, in 3 simple steps. One is write down why you are doing what it is that you're doing, not just in business, but in your personal life. You know, with your family, with your husband, with your spouse, with your health. Why do you want what it is that you want? Why? Write that down and look at that daily. Look at that daily. Second of all is write have your goal to match the mindset, meaning it's, you know, they say dream, you know, shoot for the moon and you might get the stars. You know, the other thing is we don't dream big enough, you know, because we again are conditioned by society. And, you know, Tony Robbins says a man will always overachieve what they can do in 1 year, but they will always underachieve what they can do in 10. And here's the thing, you know, people say, oh, you know, he's an overnight success. Well, that overnight success, like my overnight success, you know, was 15 years of solid, consistent development on all my strategies, together with another 10 years prior to that. So my overnight success was, you know, was an amalgamation of 25 years plus of actual business practice, you know. But getting back to your question, I'm sorry. Write your reason why. Be clear on your goals and be really crystal clear on what it is you want to achieve. And test the method, but don't be afraid to tweak it, you know, to actually get to your outcome. And I'd have to add a fourth one in, which would be don't ever quit. Do not ever quit. Don't listen to the naysayers. You know, it's kind of like, you know, going to a fat person and asking for health advice. You know, you wouldn't do that. Or going to a homeless person and say, hey, how can I make money? You know, again, you wouldn't do that. But a lot of people do. You know, they ask their cousin, brother, you know, uncle at the barbecue, or, you know, let's say you have an idea of you want to invest in real estate, for example, or in stock market, or, you know, in a business or whatever, or you wanted to start your own business. And, you know, you're at the local barbecue with your family and, you know, family and friends, which love you dearly, but they are afraid of you changing, because then if you change as a human being, you will no longer be on their level, which means they will go into fear, and that's their mindset kicking in. I mean, the mind, basically, Ralph, the mind is we have an old, you know, 1,000-year-old brain that is designed to protect us and to keep us safe. So anything new, anything, you know, out of the box, anything that's different today, our bodies, your mind is trained to keep you safe. So they're going to say, no, don't start that business. You're going to start, no, don't put your money in real estate, you know, in Mexico, for example. It's doomed to fail. No, don't invest in Vegas. No, don't do, you know what I mean? But they haven't done it themselves. Right. But they will tell you their opinion. So this is, I mean, what I say to my clients is always follow people that have, and always look up to, and always get yourself surrounded by, I mean, Jim Rohn used to say, your network is your net worth, and the 5 people that you consistently surround yourself with, you're literally, your bank balance is an average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. Wow, that's a powerful thing to think about. That's something that we need to pay close attention to. So all of this is really great. The getting clarity, getting our goals, writing down the reason why, looking at those reasons why on a daily basis, getting really clear and specific
with our goals and not undervaluing or underestimating what we're capable of. And you said test the method, but don't give up. You can change your approach, but don't give up on your goal and don't quit. And these are some very practical steps to help anyone get to where they want to be. So this has been really good. What are you working on right now, Aly, that's got you really excited that you'd like to share with us?
Well, as I mentioned to you earlier before we got online, I am always in a fantastic mood. And that's, and that's a training that you can also do with your mindset. You can train your mindset to wake up and feel fantastic about everything, anything, and anybody, and at any moment throughout the day in your life. Right now, I'm, as an entrepreneur, I have various projects. I love my coaching clients because I'm able to get them, but nothing makes me more happy than actually helping them, seeing the smiles on their faces and their bank balance increase as they implement these little strategies that they may have heard of in the past, but they just don't, they're just not practicing them. Because, that saying, knowledge is power. Well, that's a lot of crap. I'm sorry. Applied knowledge is power, because you can know all the systems and all the strategies and all the tools and all the tips in the world, but if you don't practice them, your life isn't going to change, So my passion is really now doing events and helping my coaching clients take their business to 6 and 7 figures in the shortest amount of time possible, just by implementing my 5-step accelerator program of the business model my business blueprint that I've created.
Very cool. So, this has been really great, and I'm going to share your website address with people. It's alymichaels.com. ALY is how you spelled Aly. alymichaels.com. And so I encourage our listeners to go check out her products and services and programs that she has over there, alymichaels.com. Aly, this has been really wonderful. You've shared a lot of wisdom with us, but I'm wondering if you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with our listeners before we wrap things up.
I have two, and I have to say, because I'm a mindset expert, I do have a 21-day money mindset challenge, which is also on the website, which I recommend for those of you that want to just see where your mind can take you and see the person that you're actually meant to be. Because here's the thing, it's never too late to become the person that you're meant to be. But in order for that to happen, you need to change. So I encourage people to go and try the 21-day money mindset challenge. But I want to tell you one final thing, and that is this, which is what we kind of started with. Your past does not equal the future unless you choose to live there. You can, with the right mindset, a plan, consistent action, you can live, do, and have anything that you want in business or personal, and live life on your terms.
Well, there you have it from Aly Michaels. She is a best-selling author, a speaker, and an entrepreneur, an expert at training the mind and building businesses. You can find out more about her and take that 21-day mindset challenge at alymichaels.com. Aly, it's been a real pleasure. I appreciate you being on the show today. Thanks so much for sharing your wisdom with us, and best wishes to you and all of your endeavors around the world.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at rebelpreneur.com.